there's only one candy bar that invites you to
Have a break. Have a KitKat.
almost a century after Roundtree's launched this crispy creation in 1935, it's become the unofficial go-to break time treat. Whether you reach for the duos, thins, Big Cat, or the classic four-finger bar, there's a reason these crispy wafers and rich Nestle's chocolate are such a perfect match. So get ready to see what creates that signature snap and witness how over 5 million KitKats are made every day, one delicious break at a time. Most people think of KitKat as a Nestlé classic, and globally, that's true. But in the US, things work a little differently. Since 1970, Hershey has held the exclusive rights to manufacture and distribute KitKats across America. This collaboration merges Hershey's world-renowned chocolate-making expertise with Nestlé's time-tested secret recipe that dates back to 1935. Hershey's equipment is even specially designed for KitKats. These custom-built machines were developed solely for turning out over 5 million four-finger bars every day. So let's head over to where it all starts. Nestlé takes their chocolate making seriously, sourcing weekly shipments of fresh beans from the Ivory Coast of West Africa, among the world's top cocoa producers. Once they arrive at the Hershey plant, the beans are sifted to remove debris, filtering out twigs, stones, or anything else that doesn't belong. Then they're cracked open so the shells can be removed. As the fragments move across a series of increasingly finer screens, a vacuum pulls out the remaining shell pieces, leaving behind what they're really after: pure cocoa nibs. The cocoa nibs are now poured into these giant rotating roasters. Nestlé guards their roasting temperatures as a trade secret because it's a key detail that can alter the KitKat's signature taste. After about an hour, the roasted nibs drop into the grinder, where they're transformed into this thick, smooth chocolate liquor. It's a dense, wet paste that contains no alcohol despite its name. Before heading into the refiner, the chocolate liquor is mixed with cocoa butter and vegetable fat, creating a rich texture and smooth foundation. Then, milk powder is added for a creamy flavor, followed by sugar and a touch of vanilla for balance. Lecithin comes last, helping it all come together into one smooth blend. After it's blended, the sweetened cocoa liquor moves through the refiner, where heavy rollers compress it into this coarse powder. Next, the cocoa powder travels along this conveyor and falls into these conch machines. They're oversized mixers that run non-stop to break down any remaining particles until the chocolate is smooth enough to melt on your tongue. As the conch stirs, heat builds from friction, melting the cocoa butter that's naturally present in the blend. This helps turn the powder back into a liquid state, and while it's mixing, more cocoa butter also gets added in, along with a few secret ingredients that give KitKats their one-of-a-kind taste. After about 7 hours of conching, the liquid chocolate flows into these giant vessels, where it's carefully heated and cooled in cycles called tempering, developing its smooth texture and signature glossy shine. It stays in these large tempering vessels for a few hours, ready for coating duty once the wafer production catches up. So while that's happening, let's head over to see how the KitKat's light and crispy wafers take shape. The wafers begin with flour pulled from towering silos just outside the factory. It's fed into these mixers where it's combined with sugar, oil, water, a few secret ingredients Nestlé keeps quiet, and, surprisingly, yeast. After everything is mixed, the batter rests in these large vats for about 30 minutes. This allows the yeast to feed on the sugars, releasing carbon dioxide that creates millions of tiny air bubbles throughout the mixture. That's what gives the KitKat wafers their signature lightness and satisfying snap. Once the batter is ready, it's piped over into these oversized hinged baking plates that look a lot like giant waffle irons. Each plate features a crisscross design that imprints the familiar square pattern on the wafers. This isn't just for looks though, it also helps the chocolate filling grip and hold each wafer together. The top plate comes down, spreading the batter evenly into its mold. Then, the whole setup moves through this 100-foot oven. After about 110 seconds at 150 degrees Fahrenheit, the plates open, releasing fully baked wafer sheets onto the conveyor. To cool down, the wafer sheets enter this 30-foot tall cooling tower that's arched to save space. By the time they reach the bottom, they've settled at room temperature just right for adding their chocolate coating. As the cooled wafers glide down the line, this depositor dispenses the chocolate filling on top of each one. What might surprise you is what's inside that filling. Along with cocoa liquor and sugar, it also contains finely crushed KitKats that didn't pass inspection, known in the factory as reworks. Assembly continues as each coated wafer sheet is carefully placed on top of another, forming the first part of the stack. Then an uncoated wafer is added to the top, completing the familiar KitKat structure of 3 layers of crisp wafers, with 2 layers of chocolate filling in between. The coated wafers pass through an enclosed cooling chamber, giving the chocolate filling time to set. Once cooled, a robotic arm fitted with suction grips lifts and arranges the wafers into orderly stacks, before a series of knives cuts through the stacks, creating individual blocks of KitKat fingers. Each block is then placed into these plastic trays by another robot that sends the trays towards the chocolate molding line. And now, the moment has arrived to unite the light, airy wafers with their rich chocolate shell. Warm, creamy chocolate is pumped from the tempering tanks through these large conduits straight into this overhead depositor. It fills these custom molds, each one embossed with the KitKat logo designed into its base. These molds will shape the bars and leave that recognizable stamp on top of every finger. This robotic arm now moves the sliced wafers out of their trays and arranges them neatly into position, ready to drop into the chocolate-filled molds. The wafer fingers are then inserted into the molds filled with the chocolate. A quick press follows, anchoring them in place before the bottom layer is added. But before that, each KitKat passes under an X-ray machine that scans for missing, broken, or misaligned wafer fingers. Any wafer that fails the scan is pulled from production right away. Then, the unfinished bars continue down the conveyor and pass under this machine that dispenses the bottom layer of rich chocolate, forming the KitKat's whole shell. A scraping system follows, removing the excess chocolate to leave each bar with a smooth bottom and sharp edges. Following that, the bars travel through a cooling zone where temperatures near 50 degrees Fahrenheit to completely solidify the chocolate. Afterward, the molds pass through this twisting device that gently bends each mold, kind of like popping ice cubes out of a tray. This loosens the KitKats, making extraction much simpler. Then the molds are inverted, letting the bars drop onto the conveyor. After demolding, the bars pass under an inspection station using X-rays and cameras to catch any flaws, like exposed wafers, air pockets in the chocolate, or broken pieces. Because when you open a KitKat, you want the first break to be yours. The bars that don't meet the standard are collected and repurposed as reworks and eventually blended back into the filling mix. With the finished KitKats complete, it's now time for that unmistakable red wrapper. This machine quickly wraps and heat seals each bar, handling over 5 million throughout the day. After that, the bars are grouped into multi-packs before a robotic arm boxes and seals them. Further down the line, more robotic arms stack the finished boxes onto pallets. From there, the pallets move into this completely automated warehouse. Every pallet is tracked, stored, and organized by these automated machines. When an order comes in, the robots handle the rest, retrieving boxes, stacking them onto pallets, and guiding them to the loading zone. And given America's appetite for KitKats, the warehouse can cycle through over 5 million bars in just a week. On busy days, up to 40 trucks can head out, delivering fresh KitKats to vending machines and retailers from coast to coast. Its mix of smooth chocolate and light crispy wafers shows exactly why KitKat ranks among the world's favorite chocolatey treats. So after all this learning, there's only one thing left to do. Have a break. Have a KitKat. Thanks for joining us on Made Vision. We'll see you next time.